So there we go. My bike is running around about 175 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not bad. Anyway, what a glorious morning it is here in good old Blighty. On the heroic Harley. It's just gone 6:30 in the morning, and yeah, get out on the road and seeing what's what. A couple of mods done on the bike recently. Seem to be working out, no problem. There are a couple of little niggles that I'm coming up with, but it's all okay. You know, it is what it is, I suppose. So that longer temperature probe which I put in seems to be reading it correctly. My oil levels seem to be playing silly buggers recently. I'm not sure what's going on there. Sometimes I'm reading a little bit higher, sometimes I'm reading a little bit lower. It's to and fro a little bit. I know I dumped quite a bit of oil when I was changing the oil lines as well, but I replenished that. But you know, so always keep an eye on your oil levels, I suppose, is the message for today. Now, on this fine Sunday morning here in Blighty, I want to share with you a tale of woe. A biker who rides a Harley Davidson, and a tale of frustration, pain, and suffering. I was working on my bike the other day, went to take the fuel tank off, and well, let me show you first of all. You've got the dome nut there, or the Acorn nut, right? You've got one at the rear and one at the front. That essentially holds the fuel tank on. So I was working on the bike, just about to take the fuel tank off to do a couple of little bits and pieces, and then the next thing I know, the dome nut, or the Acorn nut, just slipped from my fingers, rolled away somewhere, and could I find it? Could I bugger? I could not find it at all. I thought it landed on the bike somewhere. Searched all over the bike, got my endoscope out, got my torch out, couldn't find it anywhere. Looked all around the garage, couldn't find it anywhere. I even got my good lady to come and have a look at the bike and look at the garage, and she did. It was very sexy too, I've got to say. But it was, she couldn't find it either, so that was completely useless as well. So it's just, you know, when you when something, it just disappears and you think, where the hell has it gone? And 2 days later, I still can't find this bloody nut. If you've ever had those experiences, I'm sure you have, if you've ever done anything on bikes or on cars, and then a little nut or little fastener, whatever it is, just slips from your fingers, and you think, where the hell's it gone? Where has it gone? It's obviously gone somewhere, but could I find it? It's definitely not on the bike. Well, it could be somewhere, I don't know, but I don't think so. Can't see it on the bike. It's not in the garage. It's not outside the garage. It's rolled around. I did a test with the other Acorn nut, and I just sort of dropped it where I thought it would be, and it just rolled to the edge of the garage. I thought, oh, okay, it's either gone. It hasn't gone that far then. Couldn't find it. Don't know. So there we go. That's 2 days. 2 days of pulling my hair out, if I had any hair, to find that. But there we go. Yeah, the trials and tribulations of owning a Harley Davidson, I suppose. But there we go. On that note, have you noticed a lot of Harley Davidson negativity, a lot of criticism recently, the last sort of 2 or 3 months? I noticed quite a few YouTubers or YouTube accounts have been doing this. Now, you know, in all fairness, you know, I used to do this about a couple of years ago. I used to highlight a lot of issues. And I always got criticised for it, and fair enough, and that, you know, people want to criticise or whatever. But I noticed a lot of people seem to have jumped on this now and seem to be a lot more vocal about it in criticising Harley Davidson, or the company and everything like that, and in general about lots of different things. For me, it's not new news. You know, it's been happening a long time, and so I highlighted it and don't really talk about it. Although my website, I do raise a lot of issues on there, or a lot of stories on there, and that's why it's become officially recognised as a news website, you know, motorcycle news website, which is, you know, fantastic in that regard. So go check that out, RevelatorAlf.com. Loads of blog posts there, loads of articles there, loads of all the press releases that I get, they get pumped out on there as well. So it's good information there if you're interested. But as I say, a lot of that stuff about Harley Davidson, the criticism, well, that was, you know, it's been going on for many years, of course, but I just find it interesting that quite a few commentators or observers, if you want to call it, YouTube accounts and websites seem to be, you know, sticking it into Harley Davidson recently. And I'm not saying it's not warranted or anything like that, and I'm not saying it is warranted. It's just something that I observed. But anyway, so I'm more interested in, you know, riding my bike and just doing what's what. Although I've got to say, here's another thing, right? I went into the Harley Davidson, one of my local Harley Davidson websites this morning, just to look at a used Harleys. Yeah, I know. and I did notice a load of Pan Americas on there for sale, which is really interesting, because I know a few other people have been trying to big up the Pan America. And then I wrote a piece the other day talking about, but when's the Pan America 975 coming out, because it was supposed to be coming out in January, but it never did. So maybe there's, you know, there's more to this story about a new Pan America coming out. But I saw load for sales, used ones that is, and some low mileage ones as well. Loads of sportsers, as you always get. Hardly any Road King specials or Road Kings, street glides or road glides, was a belief, but loads of sport glides. Unfortunately, loads of sport glides. I am still thinking about doing a stage 2 and having a couple of things looked at. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, if I spend that money, I could just trade this in and get a used, you know, road glide special or a street glide special or something like that. Don't know really, but there we go. Anyway, so I thought I'd bring that to you. The pain and woe and anxiety of working on your bike, and then suddenly you just lose a little fastener and it disappears, rolls away, and you think, where the hell's that gone? Where the bloody hell's that gone to? But it seems to be, the engine oil on my bike seems to be running okay, actually. There is a discrepancy between the engine temperature and the oil temperature, which we know is going to be the case anyway. But all okay, everything's okay so far. Yeah, the vent that I put in on the transmission cover seems to be running okay. It's running freely as well. The ACRs, which I did, all seems to be all okay. For one, there is a bit of an odd sound coming from the bike, but I'm sure that's in my head now. But you know, there we go. But anyway, look, Harley Davidson, are they a company? I'm sure they're always going to come in for some criticism, aren't they? Left, right and centre for whatever they do. But also they're always going to be defended by lots of people for whatever they do as well. So I think you're stuck in the middle ground, really. I think all you can do is just look at the bike, look at where you're buying it from. And you know, if you can stomach the prices, which we all know are crazy. But this is not just bikes or Harley Davidsons. I think right across the board in life in general, it's just crazy money these days, isn't it? I mean, I go out just for a bite to eat or something to drink these days, and you know, it's like taking out a new mortgage. But you know, but there we go. I mean, that's just the modern world. And I suppose that's the big criticism of Harley Davidson, is that their products are so expensive, but you got the whole cost of living issue. Especially, I don't know, maybe in the United States it isn't as bad, but over here and around Europe it is a big problem, you know. So you know, but there we go. Anyway, best I get out on the road again on the heroic Harley, and well, maybe one day I'll find my nut again, if you know what I mean. Catch you again. Ta-da. RevelatorAlf.